but the records show that the sentence of the court has been carried out. For the rest of his natural life, once every 14 hours, Thomas Eugene Paris will relive the last moments of his victim's life.
I'm gonna be frank, this is not on my list of best episodes from season 1, but this idea for punishment is a fascinating one to me. Everything about their legal system is just fascinating. The idea that you could get an eyewitness report from the victim themselves, the idea to punish the perpetrator with having to feel what they did, it's amazing. You have to wonder about the sentence itself though. Tom could spend the next 70 plus years reliving this every 14 hours. We'll talk more about this later.
So have you given any more thought to a name?
I asked the captain for one.
Why don't you choose one yourself?
The doctor's name. This was a plotline that honestly, I think lingered on too long and the payoff was way too weak.
I'm programmed with over 5 million possible treatments, with contingency programs and adaptive programs. But it's all programs upon programs upon programs. There's no independent decision-making.
I don't see the difference.
We talked about this last episode. Kes is determined to prove that the doctor is sentient. Eventually, the doctor agrees, but he makes the best argument here for why he is never sentient, even though at the same time the show argues that he does become sentient.
It made me leave without him.
He's severely dehydrated.
But why would he be dehydrated? The shuttles have replicators, don't they?
Can you tell us what happened to Paris, Mr. Kim?
He said he'd committed a murder. His name was Tolan Wren.
This is one of the things that I think this episode gets right. We're going to see the same series of events play out through several people's eyes. When done right, each time the scene will display the biases of the person telling it. When this storytelling device is done wrong, the scene will be fundamentally different between each person telling it.
So, from the other side of the galaxy.
70,000 light years, give or take a few.
Yeah, this confirms what I said last episode. The 75,000 number initially quoted quietly got retconned to 70,000. I wonder what prompted that change.
It's a long trip home with a damaged collimator.
Is it just me? A damaged collimator sounds like something I'd find in a kitchen. Maybe it's the only thing making Neelix's cooking palatable.
Did you bring your ship's specifications with you?
It's all here.
Splendid.
I wonder what Harry means by all here. Surely there wouldn't be specifications on the weapon systems, right?
They're friends. That's better. That's better. What a good doggy. What a good doggy.
But how? They're on an alien planet on the other side of the galaxy. I feel like the only reason this is literally a dog is so we get the payoff at the end of the episode.
We have guests. I should have called. I just don't think of the common courtesies.
Clearly, since you're saying this right now, you do think of the common courtesies. You just don't make use of the common courtesies.
She's really wonderful about tolerating my dreadful manners.
So, you've done it to me again.
And he clearly does this a lot. He 100% knew better.
Help yourself.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, Harry, you keep those judgmental eyes to yourself.
If it's spoiled, Nika wouldn't eat it.
Actually, dogs eat their own vomit, and just about anything, regardless of its safety to themselves. This lady is just cruel to dogs.
Nothing too fancy or exotic around here. We're very simple folks.
I bet Picard would say this while having Romulan serve him a 5-course meal with fine wine from his own personal vineyard. This man is a key scientist in an ongoing aggressions with the neighboring planet. There's no way he's this unguarded or simple.
I'm afraid she gets a little bored here sometimes. I'm so consumed with my work.
Whether you were here or not makes no difference. Tolan would work anyway.
I'm afraid she's right.
I had dinner once with a couple that did these little digs at each other the whole meal. They thought it was endearing, but it was painfully uncomfortable.
We came in on a shuttlecraft that would avoid immediate detection by the new Mary. I hid behind the limb of the moon before I made a break for your defense perimeter.
They make it sound like Paris got around the Berlin Wall. Wait a minute. It just hit me here. There are probably people who will see this video who don't know what the Berlin Wall is, and now I feel really old.
Finished already?
The meat doesn't taste right.
So you're giving it to the dog?
We do have a lot of work to get done. Perhaps we should begin.
Isn't anyone going to stop the dog from eating itself sick?
Professor Wren was the inventor of Benian warship technology.
He's completely exhausted. Can some of this wait until he's had a chance to rest?
I think the doctor meant to say, we have a commercial break coming up, so we need to wrap up this scene now.
I'm taking the ship into orbit while we try to sort things out.
Be prepared to be intercepted by Numiri patrols.
But why? Is this one planet inside Numeri space? Are they equal superpowers? Or are the Benayan completely outmatched such that they can't even keep the space between their planet and their own moon free from the Numeri patrols?
Whenever I saw the Numiri coming, I always left before the intimidation began.
This seems like something Janeway would have asked before sending Tom and Harry in. Also, Janeway's hips are extremely unimpressed with your jokes, Neelix.
That they have directed energy weapons comparable to your own, plus regenerative shields that may even give them a certain advantage over us in a firefight.
Regenerative shields are a bit of a head-scratcher to me. Aren't all shields in Star Trek regenerative? It's not like they're a fuse where you have to take a burnt-out shield generator and put in a new one. They have a max amount of energy they can absorb, sure, before the whole thing fails. I don't know. I think I'm overthinking this one a little too much.
We're scanning a Numiri vessel approaching. They're at combat readiness, Captain.
Shields up. On screen.
This is clearly Janeway's power stance, but did Kirk have one? This ship is used a lot throughout TNG, DS9, and Voyager. In fact, it's even used in Enterprise. But I think the first time we ever see it is in the TNG episode, The Most Toys.
Curious.
Why?
I would have expected them to send out more than one tiny patrol to meet a ship like this.
I like that this is where we start to really get some hints that things aren't what they seem. I mean, okay, obviously they're not going to have a main character be a murdering psychopath. But if you let yourself just go with the story's flow, this would have been the first moment things didn't quite seem to add up. This background in the shot is driving me insane! I swear we've seen it before, but for the life of me I can't think of where.
Very, very curious. In Numiri terms, that greeting was downright friendly.
Neelix, you already told us you only have other people's reports to go off of. Why are you pretending to be so familiar with the Numeri now? Should this count as Janeway with her hands on her hips? It's only one hand, but I think I'm going to count it anyways.
Captain, it's unfortunate we must meet under these circumstances.
How on earth were Janeway and Tuvok allowed to meet with a Minister of Silence while fully armed?
We have the capability of isolating memory engrams in the brain. We take them from the final moments of life. After they're used in the trial, they're transplanted into the perpetrator's brain.
This is actually an incredible way to get an eyewitness testimony, and I love the concept they've created around it. I'm sure there's no room for abusing it whatsoever.
Were you having improper relations with his wife?
Their marriage was over. She told Wren they were finished the same day he was killed.
That's not an answer, Tom.
Nothing happened between us. Almost nothing.
You know what's not a good thing to do when you're trying to convince people that you're telling them the truth, Tom? Lying to them.
I was bored. You know how it is when two science guys get together. I came out of the other room, looked over and saw her in the atrium.
I really like how when Tom remembers things, the shots tend to be more tight in on the person speaking. While when Harry remembered things, the shots took on a wider angle. It could be that Harry's shots had more people in it, but I like to think it shows how Harry takes in the whole area he's in, while Tom is focused in on the people themselves.
Smoking is a bad habit. My species gave it up centuries ago. When we finally got it into our heads, it was killing us.
Ralphie would disagree, Tom.
Maybe I kill myself slowly because I don't have the courage to do it quickly.
Ugh, this is such a dumb line. It sounds like something I would read on MySpace from that one girl who thought she was super edgy and deep and would alternate between posting drivel like this and posting pretentious "I took the road not taken" quotes that every other girl was posting.
Good can get very boring.
Kind of like this scene. And that's not just me being snarky. Even the writers thought it was dragging on and cut it off right here.
No,
Stop! No!
What's going on?
No!
Apparently he's entering another cycle.
Tuvok's winning the Understatement Award right there. Also, Can you imagine this in real life? People around you suddenly entering into a punishment phase? Do you think they only do this for capital punishments, or would they do this for shoplifting as well? Do you think that this race has multicolored hair that grows down the neck and into the eyebrows, or do you think they're more like the rich people in the Hunger Games, with outlandish fashion trends?
All right. But you're not to leave orbit with him.
Minister, we don't intend to leave orbit until we prove his innocence.
Yeah, you tell him, Janeway. You gotta stand by your man.
It's medicine clearly beyond anything we've ever encountered before.
So we're just not talking about the TNG Season 2 finale then anymore, huh? That might be for the best.
It's extremely technical. To the layman, it would be virtually indecipherable.
Nevertheless, I will want to examine it in detail.
I love how the Doctor doesn't even have to talk to convey sass.
This might be the basis for an appeal of the sentence, don't you think?
Perhaps. However, before the neuroimplants were developed, the Benean punishment for murder was lethal injection.
This raises an interesting question. Is lifetime incarceration a more cruel punishment than a lethal one?
When he wakes up, I will require an autonomic response analysis while I question him again, Doctor.
Do you really think Tom would lie to us?
As an investigator, I do not have the freedom to ignore any possibility.
This is the first of a handful of episodes where Tuvok gets to play Detective Holmes. I really like the ones we see later, and they will make for a good way to have Tuvok-centered episodes. I didn't mention this the first time we saw this painting in the city, but this is a reused painting that we first saw back in the TNG episode Angel 1, and again in the DS9 episode Dax.
Have you ever had to end a marriage?
No.
I hope you never have to find out for yourself. But I can tell you, ending a marriage, it's a quiet thing. The arguments are long over, and there's really nothing much left to say at all.
This is a much more profound line to me than her earlier one about being a coward. Being in a marriage takes work sometimes, but as long as there isn't abuse going on, I am definitely of the belief that that work is well worth it.
He left his friend Harry to finish the technical research and walk me home. We were caught in a cloudburst on the way. I'm completely sold!
Okay, that does it. I swear they did this framing on purpose now. Now that it's her turn to remember things, the camera stays in a wide view in a fixed position, just zooming in a bit throughout the scene. It's like she's painting a picture of events as opposed to recalling the details of the event as they fully occurred.
Chakotay to Tuvok. You're needed on the bridge. We're under attack by Numeri patrols.
On my way, Commander.
I give up. I really don't understand the power dynamics of this war. Voyager is in orbit of the Benean planet, and yet the Numeri are able to come right up and attack them with no issue?
Shields at 90% and holding.
Commander, prepare to initiate attack maneuver Kappa 010.
I promise, no more bad Irish dancing being photoshopped in, but she still makes me think of Riverdance whenever she does this.
I'm with you. Blowing out the dorsal phase emitters. Towards to engineering.
Go ahead.
Vent a couple of LN2 exhaust conduits along the dorsal emitters.
This is B'Elanna's only line in the episode, and she could not get it right since she hadn't practiced it ahead of time and was feeling nervous with all the reporters who were present since LeVar Burton was directing this episode. LeVar actually had to pull her to the side, and that exchange ended up being plastered across magazines saying she couldn't handle the technobabble. Now she says it's the only line that she can remember like the back of her hand to this day. Sheesh, Tuvok. Don't you think you should ask for Tom's consent first? Do you think Kate Mulgrew intentionally makes your eyes bug out like this?
Someday it will be you, Harry. You'll meet her, and you'll know it's wrong from the first moment you see her. You'll know there's nothing you can do about it.
This plotline literally happens in the Season 5 episode The Disease. I'll have more to say about this scene momentarily, but keep it in mind. I think this is why the episode didn't work for me.
Mr. Paris, would you please stand next to Mrs. Wren?
What for?
If you wouldn't mind. The man Professor Wren observed with his wife was virtually equal in height to her. Clearly, Lieutenant Paris is several centimeters taller.
Looking at the flashbacks, this actually holds up. They could have phoned it in and counted on no one looking back to confirm it. Remember, this was an age where people had to record things on VHS tapes if they wanted to review things or wait for the next rerun. It was a nice touch.
He lied to me, Tom. No one was supposed to get hurt. You know I could never do anything to hurt you.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, girl power?
I prefer to read rather than engage in, What do humans call it? Short talk?
Close enough.
I don't buy for a moment that Tuvok got this wrong. He's just trying to discourage Tom from further interactions. Post Facto, it's not good. Every time I watch it, I just don't get the feeling it's very Trek-like. Unfortunately, a lot of that is because executive producer Michael Pyler decided he wanted to do an homage to film noir. However, instead of incorporating noir concepts into a Trek plotline, he changed the mannerisms and language of the characters to fit the noir setting.
Her eyes were 1,000,000 kilometers away, staring at stars I'd just flown by the day before.
Now this works in an episode like The Big Goodbye or Bada Bing Bada Bang, since everyone is trying to act like a character in a holonovel. This even worked in the TNG episode Elementary Data, since once they left the holosuite, they returned to acting in a mannerism consistent with what we knew of them. This episode, not so much. I just can't see Tuvok making a big stage production of gathering everyone together to reveal who the real murderer was, like he was Detective Perot or Father Brown, and having a creature on an alien planet that you straight up call a dog. Sure, the universal translator will give its best go at a translation, but it was so spot on for an alien creature on the other side of the galaxy. I think it also didn't help anything that this was in a lot of ways a retelling of the Season 3 TNG episode A Matter of Perspective. Jerry Taylor took offense at how this episode treated Tom, thinking it marred the essence of who he was supposed to be. That the real Paris would never pursue a married woman, but I didn't have a problem with Tom's character in the episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was morally unacceptable. It's just I don't think it ruins Tom's character. People make bad and inappropriate choices sometimes. What I do have a problem with in this episode is that they set up what could have been one of the most scathing critiques of the American justice system with the idea of irrefutable evidence that ended up being manufactured, and then ignored all the implications of that plotline to create a Tuvok noir episode of Star Trek. I said this previously, but the later episodes where Tuvok again dons his detective hat do this a lot better. Such as Seasons 2 Meld, or Season 3's Flashback, or Season 4's Random Thoughts, so basically once a season, we get a single Tuvok episode where he usually solves a mystery. The point here is that the latter episodes created a mystery that felt organic within the show, and had Tuvok solve that mystery. But this episode felt like they transplanted the Star Trek crew into a fanfic, where Holmes, Perot, Miss Marple, and Father Brown are combined into one story. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you want to be a week ahead of everyone else, you can join my supporters on either Subscribestar or Patreon by searching for Life with Matthew, or just clicking on the links in the description of this video. Thank you to my current supporters, which, according to my notes, is John DeMarco at the Priority 1 Hail tier, Thomas Potts at the Section 31 tier, and at the Hailing Frequencies Open tier are the Salty Trekker, Ben Joaz, Rock Solid Productions, Commodore Ty, and joining them, Birder Prey 5, the glorious leader of Kuroga. Kapla, Birder Prey 5! And thank you for making it so I don't have to subject myself to Vulcan mind melds to be proven innocent. Be sure to subscribe for more, and until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.